Welcome to Business Unfiltered series. I'm Rick Plasket, a certified business and leadership coach, and today my guest is Steve Pirt. He is the owner and the founder of FlexWerk, and it's a global platform for fitness professionals. Today we're going to talk to Steve a bit about his business, some of the challenges, and some of his best practices, and get a peek into what it's really like to create a business that, quite honestly, seems to be disrupting and changing a particular marketplace. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe. And Steve, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Rick, thank you for having me. I'm excited to get going.
I know you are. You and I have shared a number of conversations so far, and you're at no loss of words. And like I said, I am impressed with what you have. So if you would, please, for the audience, give a brief overview of how you got to be here today and a little bit of a background on this very unique business you have.
Sure. So it looks like there were two questions there. How am
Mhm.
I think here today was the first question. I'm a industry vet, fitness started in 2000. So now we're chalking up almost 25 plus years, in the industry, starting as a personal trainer in Sacramento, California, and then rising through the ranks all the way up to national director of franchise operations for Ultimate Fighting Championships. I'm running the North American market with multiple countries, consulting as well. So really just being a credible operator through almost every aspect of anything that you could get your, fingers into in the fitness industry. And through that journey, I just had a curiosity that I think never went away. Seek to understand as you seek to solve was obviously one of the main things driving me. And over time, I talked to enough customers and clients and guests and operators in this industry where I started to notice patterns evolving that were similar. And what I found that after a certain amount of time in this industry, coaches and trainers, fitness professionals, they really developed an entrepreneurial spirit. Either they left because they couldn't make enough money or their career started to spin off somewhere else, or they stayed and they had to start creating these side hustles and scratch and claw, or maybe the few like myself would ascend into the executive ranks. But most had this entrepreneurial spirit and they just lacked systems and support and physical space in order to break away from being just an employee and have a secondary option. And so I saw other businesses and other industries that had done something very, very similar. They were solving a different widget, but similar processes applied. And I thought, this seems to be a global problem. Let's see if I can be the one to crack the nut, create it from nothing, and solve that problem.
Super. So tell us a little bit about the FlexWork platform.
Right. So FlexWork is a harmony of physical and digital, say, offerings in space. We are literally the global platform that wants to provide fitness entrepreneurs the ability to be their own boss. So right now I'm in a what's called a Flex Space Plus. We have two different sizes. We have four different choices if we're building new FlexWorks. But at our HQ, which we're at here in Carmel, Indiana, we have two size spaces. And in the Plus, it's a 200 square foot, fully enclosed private studio with customized lighting, customized technology, and but more importantly, what it does is it provides a coach, trainer, physical therapist, anyone who's in the wellness space that again wants to be their own boss or currently is their own boss, the means to be able to run their business on a pay-as-you-go hourly rental versus rents and leases, and then have support, brand building, software support, lead management, lead optimization, lead funneling, anything that you're going to need in order to stand yourself up and be your own business and be a accessible fitness entrepreneur.
Super. So if I understood you correctly, Steve, your key customer is actually the fitness trainer, the fitness coach, and the platform FlexWorks gives that individual not only the space and the equipment, but also gives you them the equivalent of, say, a VRBO and an Uber, so that you're using what you need when you need it, but you're not investing in it and letting it collect dust when you're sleeping at home. Is that correct?
That's correct. We really provide the first and only successful bridge between the main option, and you see a fitness professional behind us right now, running his own business as we're talking. Um, but it provides them a bridge.
Mhm.
90 plus percent of the nation, let alone the world's trainers and coaches, they have to be someone's employee. That's how they're educated. That's how they go through school. That's how they get their certs. And their next leap is go find a good job, go work at a gym or go work, for someone else. And that's good. But the other only option to this point has been go build it yourself. Go build your own gym. Go build your and have the overhead and the lease and the responsibility and the cost. This is almost non-existent. And this is the common dynamic. We're creating the bridge of a successful opportunity for someone who says, hey, you know what? I don't want the overhead costs. I don't have that business acumen. I don't want to go get a lease. I don't want to spend 70% of my time paying bills and covering the overhead. I don't want employees. I've got a book of business. I want a private professional space that allows me to do it the way I want to do it, when I want to do it, with whom that I want to do it with, on my own terms. And if I want to come and go as I please, the system is built for me to do that. And so we have coaches and professionals here that are making well over 10,000 a month and running great careers. And we have others where this is supplemental and they're
Mhm.
stepping into it as part-time because they have a 9 to 5, or they're a full-time police officer, or they work at another fitness brand, but they want this to supplement it so they can stay in the industry that they love versus leave because their studio only gives them 6 to 8 hours a week to coach, right? So, um, and then on the back, Rick, it's the layers of the support as an entrepreneur, and I know that you are one, and it's a scary, lonely road, and very few of these trainers and coaches, let alone are really ready to be a professional. But let's talk about the ones that already are. The thought of how do I build my brand? How do I get a logo together? How is my website optimized? If I even have one, do I need an LLC? What about insurance? What about lead funnels and marketing? And they become paralyzed with well, company takes care of this and I don't like the split. They take 70% of my money, but this is so challenging for me to even comprehend. I don't even know where to start. We can provide all the services and support to help them just really expedite the choice that they want to be their own boss. We already know exactly what our customers need. So it's a very easy funnel for us to be able to support them along the way, wherever their needs are. But to answer your question quickly is yes, the fitness professionals are by far our number one customer, but FlexWork is open for anyone to be our guest. We are an adult only facility, 18 and over. Um, but we have clients of trainers who are going to apartment gyms or they come to their
Mhm.
house and maybe that's just not a good solution anymore, whatnot. They bring their trainers here. And then the third is this morning we had a family coming from California and they're playing sports all week long and they're in travel, I think volleyball, they said. And it was convenient for them just to look up FlexWork, see that it was a pay by the hour. They're only going to be here 2 or 3 days. They didn't have to worry about playing. I'm going to be here, get a membership and then cancel my membership and day pass, all this nonsense. They were able to just come in, get connected, feel welcome, have an amazing, cool workout. They took some selfies, tagged us, and they're off and all there they go. So this is also for them. This is just a space for anyone who wants to be immersed in a private premium environment and enjoy fitness.
Super, super. So, Steve, to set the stage for the listeners today, what's the current structure of FlexWork? Are you the sole owner, founder, or do you have outside investors at this time?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I am the CEO and founder. I am the majority shareholder. We're a C Corp. I built FlexWork. First, I moved from California 5.5 years ago, Newport Beach area, to here specifically, Carmel, Indiana, based on data analysis and research. I needed a quiet place, like a beachhead, in order to see if this crazy idea was even going to work. I needed my money to last. I needed to create first. I mean, we customized our equipment from Italy. My backend systems are all custom built. CRMs weren't. I don't do what
Mhm.
fitness normally does. I don't do dues and memberships and all these different, right? I'm more of a co-working company. And so I
Mhm.
had to really create almost everything besides dumbbells and barbells, right? That's pretty typical. But our technology stack, our automations. And so I came to Carmel to do that. But I knew that if it worked, this was going to be a global solution. So I have one partner. He's my key investor, and he's also I would call my key advisor. And he's in Japan, he's in Tokyo. He's the master franchisor for two major brands, Gold and UFC. So this is something that he's been familiar with. We met when I was the national director at UFC and advised him and helped him open up a couple of his gyms during COVID over Zoom. So he saw what we were doing and what I could provide to
Mhm.
him digitally was pretty amazing. And then I decided instead of building a consultancy company, we decided to build a brand to be able to provide that type of support for individuals, which is great. So right now, he's a minority investor, and it's just he and I when it comes to the ownership structure. But we are set up
Okay.
C Corp, and we are ready for that growth model. We've been in operation now, physical operation, for 3.5 years. Um,
Okay.
and so it's time to now expand beyond the, I would say, Indiana marketplace.
So you're into the scale mode.
Correct. Correct.
Super.
Yeah.
And in that mold,
We had already scaled early on. I actually
mhm,
had sold. Originally, my concept was to create my HQ. This is my test bed, my AB, make sure we understood what was going to work, what wasn't. It's one thing to conceive something, but then obviously to manifest it, whatever you expect, you have to observe to see what really is happening in real world. And some things were great. We've added some things on. We've added some other ancillary opportunities for not only for revenue, but for support for our guests, and that's been great. But I thought I was going to franchise. I thought that would be the best way for me to scale at the level that I want FlexWork to scale. We definitely believe that we're over 2,000 location capability domestically and internationally. Um, and so my opinion was private versus raising capital in private versus franchising. With my experience in franchising, I thought that was the way. So I sold all of Indiana to a group early on, probably like 4 or 5 months into our operation. It's financially, when you look at the model, it's a no-brainer. I built
mhm,
this to be an investment class, and it's very frictionless. Plus, it's great for real estate investors. It's a very small footprint. It's a very elevated and premium footprint. So landlords love it. It raises obviously not only the value, but the demand for other tenants to be premium as
mhm,
well. You couldn't put a dollar store next to us. That just doesn't make any
mhm,
sense. Uh,
mhm,
and we were off. We built one. We signed leases on multiple, and that group had some problems between them and some money and some things, and it just kind of stalled. And I called a timeout, and we basically parted ways. Lesson learned over 2.5 years of trying to make that parting ways happen. And my partner and I had a very, very strong learning lesson to say, all right, what worked, what didn't, and how do we move this forward? And moving forward, we are going to be a privately owned, corporation, and we're going to do operating partners, so joint development deals, and that's our
mhm.
path forward.
Super, super. Hey, listen, you've told a story that I have seen many, many times over all the years of my business coaching, and that is either franchising or partnershiping or even bringing in multi-generations into one family. The communication and the expectations. One day everything is all roses and sunshine and rainbows, and then something changes that nobody saw and nobody knows how to do that. You know, death, divorce, and business partnerships bring out the emotion in things. And I find it interesting that in many of the
True.
cases, I have a very simple partnership questionnaire, which is not about the what of business, but it's about how do decisions get made. And it is a just a point of conversation, a starter, if you will, for
Mhm.
franchising model, for partnership models, for bringing in other people that are going to own geographic areas and having a understanding of how decisions are made in good times and in bad times. So, hey, a quick question for you. Where you are
Very smart funding.
And it is, and it's, you know what? It's very fun to just sit down and ask the questions and let it roll. There's so many times in multi-generational families when I have all of them sitting in a room together, and I ask one generation, what is the other generation's goal, opinion, vision of the future. And the first two words are always, I think. It's like, okay, that's got to be
Mm,
replaced with I know. And that means you guys have been together having barbecues for the 4th of July and for Labor Day for decades. And we're still at I think. That's not a business thing, nothing personal. It's just not a business thing. And we need to
mhm.
know. I may not support and want to go the same path as you, Steve. But when I know what your goals are and where you want to be, I now have the ability to help you get there. If I don't know that and I'm
Agreed.
filling it in with I think, then I have the potential of absolutely derailing you without really wanting to. So it's just a matter of communication to get it moving in that direction. And in communication, where you are today, how would you break down the percentage of time that you are looking at this vision of growing FlexWerk versus
Mhm.
the in the business, making it happen, bringing on the next trainers and whatnot? What's your breakdown there?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say that I have a concise split, but if I was to go top of head and we're talking about breakdown, I would say I'm more on the business versus in the business. I'm certainly
Mhm.
engaged. I'm here daily, but my hosts really manage. Think of the host as a community manager at a WeWork. Very, very similar dynamic. Um, but I'm still observing, I'm still present. I think the biggest part of being on the business is working on the scaling of my systems. So we
Mhm.
have proprietary systems, one called Flex Connect and one called Work Solutions. And that's our brand building. Work Solutions is our brand building mechanism with AI and algorithms that will allow us to take an intake from a aspiring trainer, coach, fitness professional and understand their gaps and needs when it comes to supporting their business, whether it be brand, social media, website, lead. And then our Flex Connect is our, people call it Match.com for fitness. Same thing. We have aspiring clients that are coming into our system. And then we have a matchup of existing fitness professionals. And then we take 108 pieces of data in only about 8 minutes, whether it's texting or talking to our AI intake. And that algorithm will then connect the ideal professional to the ideal client based on a lot of factors. So it's really client focused. So my most of my time now is spent tweaking, fine tuning, and preparing for scale on our main component systems. Everything else is really dialed in. We built to, we've we know how to do these. We've designed for. Um, no big deal. Operations daily is about the simplest I've ever seen in the industry, and I've seen about all of them. And then I would say I'm probably spending maybe 20% of my time on a uh, specific deal right now that we're cooking in a tier one market outside of this state. So I'm not spending a lot of time. We did a site visit. We're in talk with the development group. It's a major developer in the state of Texas. We're going to do a joint venture with them. And it's great. But I wouldn't say I'm spending a ton of time, and I'm not actively seeking out and responding to leads and new markets. I learned with this last group how distracted this company and myself can get chasing the shiny thing when really if I stay focused on the business, the core model, our customers, and then specific next goals like one location or one market, we get a lot higher return on that investment. That investment obviously is time, which is my most precious
Yes.
resource. And
Yes.
so I would say 80/20 is probably
Okay.
the answer to your split.
Let me ask a little deeper question into that because as you were answering, Steve, I could see you had a change in your entire your energy levels. Okay. You're there in the facility because you're comfortable and you like to be there. what feeds you and what I'm sensing feeds you is that future of what it's going to be. So in that
Correct.
environment, if I'm reading your energy vibes properly, how many times do you feel like you're forced to get off of one focus onto another, or do you feel like you're in harmony with that when you want to be looking to this future 20% versus bringing on two more people in your headquarters, you're able to do that and get 100% focused versus having a time vampire pulling you off of it?
That's a great question, and I appreciate the phrasing of it. It's unique. I've been in a lot of podcasts, and I don't think I've ever heard that question specifically framed that way as well. So I'll try to be as honest and transparent as I can. Um, in order for me to remove, if I remove myself from this business right now, we have a operating partner who's actually one of our longest running customers, fitness professional. He started as a trainer. He's a graduate into a fitness professional, um, ready to step in, invest into the business here. It's profitable, it's running, it's churning, and then I'm out. So I don't need to hire two more. My wake is going to be allow an operating partner to come in and grow the business and have a very high return on their very small investment with an operation that's already running and churning. But yes, my energy is, I conceived this originally back in 2017. This is when it came into my heart and my head. And so creating it, raising the capital, creating the systems, everything that we've done to now has been this slow game of making something that was in binders and on note sheets manifest into real, and then learning, okay, what does real mean? How do we optimize? What lessons do we learn? um, Operate, payroll, marketing, setbacks, wins, all the types of things we have. I think that's probably one of the biggest sources. I wouldn't say I'm frustrated, but one of the biggest sources for me is I see and hear from people globally if FlexWork was in their marketplace, if FlexWork was back in Newport Beach, if FlexWork was in Frisco, Texas, if FlexWork was in New York City, if FlexWork was in Tokyo, how it would be an amazing solution for so many customers. Well, that's a great business. And so being patient and present and making sure that I'm a steward to the business and I'm focused on tweaking and optimizing to make sure my guests and systems are ready for the responsibility of that scale. And so I juxtapose between the two, but I'm definitely leaning into obviously the growth, and we're ready, or like a caged animal, but only when it's ready. When it's the right deal at the right location, things are closed, then I've got all the pieces ready to step into place to then execute.
Mhm.
Um, but I've learned as an entrepreneur, yes, I have to be innovative. Yes, I have to think future, but I have to live presently in order for the business to grow and be profitable and justify current and future investment. Because if all I'm ever doing is thinking future, 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 and if, and maybe, that to me that's not
It's
that's never going to get us there.
you are absolutely correct. You have, as you are creating something new, you have the challenge of meeting the not only your vision, but the entire world's vision. When you say flex work to somebody else, they have a vision, and you're trying to meet that vision as well as yours. And many times that's setting the expectation as well. And if there's a gap in there and one approaches before the other, now you're fighting the gap, which is like trying to drive 90 miles an hour with a road full of speed bumps. Okay, it's a very unpleasant
Yeah.
trip. I'm curious, and I want to catch your mindset on this because you really are looking at the future and moving purposefully there. And I found years ago when I ask someone to set a goal, there's many different categories of people and the way they look at goals, but some of them really look at goals as must achieve. If I don't achieve it, I am a failure. So when they set a
Hmm.
goal for today or 3 years or 5 years from now, they are very hesitant to set that goal unless they absolutely know how they're going to get there. And in my mind, that's kind of not a
I I don't know
goal.
how that would
That's
be
that's a
possible.
put it on the to-do list and just get it done. Setting a goal, the other group says, okay, I may know three of the four things I have to do, but I have to learn, I have to grow, or something new has to develop to close that gap to get to that goal. And as you mentioned, these people that want you in different territories and you're making sure that it is proper there. I get the sense that you're in that second group of, hey, yes, I see all of that, but it's not a simple to do. There are things that either you have to learn or you have to teach your investors, or you even have to teach the environment, the culture of the value that you present. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, it's a yes and a no. So there's always going to be learning, as hopefully my intro has conveyed. I was taught as a young man in this industry how to do a PAR-Q, a physical activity readiness questionnaire. It's the basic intake form that any of us will ask a customer or obviously a prospective client. How old are you and how tall are you and does anything hurt? The basic information for me to, just like an RN when you go to the doctor, help me understand some basics so either we can deduct or understand what we're trying to solve. And that was really sealed into me at an early age. And I believe that my success has been credited to really sticking to that fundamental pillar of seek to understand before I seek to solve. And again, that's the genesis and the origin thought of, wow, I've talked to hundreds of thousands of trainers and coaches across multiple countries, and they keep telling me the same thing. But if I had to wait to start, let alone continue until I knew how to do everything right, I would have never started. And I tell people this actually very often. Um, I don't really focus on the how. The how, there's times where I've walked in and I have no idea how. When I started this thing, I had no commercial real estate experience. When I started this thing, I had never done started a C Corp and done fundraising and capital raise. And uh, I had never custom built equipment. I'd never done international supply chain. I worked through a company to do it, but I never did it myself. Uh, there are all kinds of things that I never built a full spectrum CRM system with lead automation but what I did is I focused on the why. I was relentless about focusing on the why, and I had a really clear vision on my what. My what is where I
Mhm.
probably spent 90% of my time. I just churned on it and chewed it and the what and the what and the what. Why? Because all these people say if something like this was around them, they would pay for that. That's a business. That's a company. That's solving something. That's not just another gym option or another, soda choice on the shelf of 70 different sodas. We're really solving a problem, and these customers are willing to pay specifically and significantly for that solution. So it's a great business to build. And then through that, okay, how do I reverse engineer? My company is a reverse engineer at focusing on those two things. Why and what? Then I went, okay, I put a professional in a space. How much space do I need? Top, side, front, and back. Where do I put the equipment? If I was in there, and we just reverse engineered over years the ideal physical and then support space. What else would I need in order for me to secure, confident, and really win at being a fitness professional? Oh, I would need this and I would need that and I would need that. Great. And we started to implement and input to solve the problem versus, hey, this looks really cool. Black's a good color. My buddy owns this gym equipment company. So let's just put it all together and then let's hire a coach and develop some school workouts and say that they're going to lose twice the amount of weight as everybody else. That's not our game. So
Right.
how, man, I've been stuck on how a lot, but the universe makes way. If you're, I've learned, and investors and people have gravitated towards me. because talking to me, they realize not only have I lived it and I'm authentic to the problem, but I'm relentless about the solution. And that's what our company really is about, finding the solution to empower fitness entrepreneurs. And good news is that's a really easy funnel and narrow funnel. It's not this wide funnel to solve. We get people into space, we help other people get in front of them, the right people. We can support them with education, some other things, but really once they're together, as you can see in the back, you can see 4 or 5 different businesses running right now behind me. And they're paying for the space and nobody's having a bad day and I don't have to worry about, do they smell funny? Are they not in a uniform or are they properly doing this or properly doing that? We've created just a professional space for this. So hopefully that wasn't long-winded, but the how, a lot of people go, how'd you raise money, Steve? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? And I just go, I shouldn't, right? I
Mhm.
shouldn't, but I learned in my career that there were people who shouldn't either that were doing it. I thought, well, why not me? If what I'm doing is attached to something that has purpose. And so,
Steve, you've just identified the Superman principle. And that's kind of what I use when I coach my business owners is Superman has superpowers. But when it comes to the kryptonite, his failings or his weaknesses, he can't address that. And so somebody like Jimmy Olsen or Lois Lane have to come and move the kryptonite. In a business, that how maybe somebody else will move it or define it or create it for you. When you are using your superpower, you have the ability to move forward. And that's what I coach my clients to do is, hey, stay in your superpower and we'll find a way to get rid of the kryptonite in a different direction. And I applaud you for that. Listen, we have absolutely covered a lot of ground in this conversation today. And for those of you that are watching this, I highly encourage you to come back because Steve absolutely has a vision and a mindset on a business that is growing and growing in an environment and in a marketplace where the desire, the want, and even the need pre-exist. You just have to present it in a fashion that is going to be uh, surprise and delight. We'll say that. If you just deliver it, it's a McDonald's. If you surprise and delight, it's a Chick-fil-A. So, and I love the way you're doing that. As we wrap up, I want to hit a section here that is quite honestly my personal favorite, and that is the rapid fire questions. Are you ready for these?
sure, hit me up.
Yeah, just looking for top of mind. Steve, what's your key to success?
Stay rooted in the why and the how. When payroll's facing me, when problems surmount that inevitably happen every day, when that loneliness, that failure factor pops in, I just go back to why am I doing this in the first place? And what are we doing it for?
Super. What's a piece of advice that you would give another business owner that has similar visions and desires as you do?
Make sure that you understand it's going to take longer and cost more than you think it's going to.
Super. Yep. Yep. Now this one is dating myself, and I got pointed out a couple of interviews ago on this one. What's one book that you're reading now or have read recently that you would recommend to somebody?
I don't know why that's dating you. It's some of the greatest knowledge, obviously, is still in book form. I'm actually rereading my one of my favorite books of all time, which is Zero to One by Peter Thiel right now.
Okay,
It's
awesome.
an amazing book. It talks about obviously 0 to 1 is the hardest dynamic of creating something from nothing and getting to one. That 1 to 10 is momentum, but highly recommend it.
I would balance that with 10x is easier than 2x.
Sure.
Yes. And my
Sure.
only dating is the word book. I've been pointed out that, no one does books anymore. They all do TED Talks, videos, etc. Book is just a simple word for me. If there was one area of your
Love
business
it.
right now, Steve, that you could improve and tomorrow morning would be exactly where you want it, what would that area be?
Ha. Our Flex Connect system, 100%. It's a proprietary system, like I said. It's amazing. We've incorporated AI, our own unique algorithm, um, but it's a continuously work in process, like everything else. But I
Okay.
think I think it's going to be like golf. I think you play the game, you get better, but I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. I think it just needs to evolve to what it needs to be. But that would be it. That is the key to a whole nother level of this business.
So how many times is your solution to that going to be buying a new club?
Ah, that would be like an equation replacing the agency, which a lot of times it's an easy solution. Oh man, this agency, but we partner with a good group, mostly integrators, and we really built it like I've done with everything else from scratch inside because what we're doing
Hmm.
is one of one again. So there's so many things that we do that's unique and innovative one on one. So most people it's too expensive for them to come into because it's a one-off, or they're excited because they want to build something and iterate and be welcomed into a market maybe they didn't have access to.
Right. Hey, listen, before we get to the final question of the day, if there is somebody watching this and wants to get in touch with you, either because you have given them some words of wisdom or because they want to become your next greatest trainer, how would they get in touch with you?
Great. Yeah. Anyone who's in obviously the local market, they're aspiring fitness entrepreneur, fitness professional, or they're not in our market. We service fitness professionals globally, digitally and whatnot. Or real estate investors, people who are developers looking to build out in markets and they think FlexWork could be an amazing ad. We'd love to talk to them. You can email me directly at CEO@flexworkfitness.com, spelled obviously with the two E's correctly. Or you can go to my LinkedIn, which is Steve Pirt, Pirt.
Super, super, super. So, final question of the day. Steve, what do you find most inspiring?
What do I find most inspiring? I would say it's not someone, it's more of something. It's the ability to overcome adversity, stay grounded, and really just see someone or something like a family or a business move through that challenge. Not necessarily into something highly successful, but through that challenge into something new. That to me is very inspiring because we all have challenges in life, whether they're mental, physical, financial, but I find that a lot of people sit and complain or give up. And so I'm inspired by groups, entities, companies, individuals that invariably say, all right, we're going to find a way. It might be immediate, it might take a long time, but and then as we get through that adversity, we see the opportunity, and in that opportunity is a whole new thing.
Super. Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, Steve, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your journey. And to you, the audience, thank you so much for watching this interview. Steve is at a point where he's got a great idea, and it's a great idea that, quite honestly, the rest of the world's kind of have to catch up to and recognize how great this idea is. So, folks, have a wonderful day and bye for now.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody.